Hi, my name is Beth Azor, and I own shopping centers in South Florida. And this is my podcast, I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? So today I have some miscellaneous items that I wanted to share with you all. The first one is utilities in vacancies. So for me, I think it's really important. We live in Florida. It can be super hot. So we turn our utilities on in South Florida so that I can have air conditioning in the spaces when I show it, and also turn on the lights. This is super important when you have a space, like right now I have an urgent care recently vacated. I actually evicted them. And it's 3,500 square feet, and I think it's got 14 to 20 different rooms. And it goes probably 80 feet back. And it's very important for me to have the utilities on so that I can turn on the lights and not be in the space alone with the prospect, which if you have female leasing agents, you don't want that. And also you want to be able to show the space well. So for $100 a month, think if you can get at least within 6 months, $600, first of all, it's a safety measure as far as I'm concerned, and also it will show better versus you walking around with the flashlight. So I turn on my utilities in all of my vacancies. Second, in all my shopping centers, I have the same master key. So that makes it very easy for me, my maintenance guy, Josie, who's my operations director. We used to have a property manager, we don't anymore, but for her, so having one key for all of the vacancies, it makes things very, very easy. It does cost a little bit more to rekey after a tenant moves out and key it on the master, but I'm never having to look for the key. I don't have the wrong key. It's just one key, all of the vacancies. We have a lockbox code on the utility rooms because we have so many different vendors that have to go in there. So there's a lockbox with a code and a different key in there. We have a bottle of bleach in one of the vacancies in the shopping center so that if sometimes, and we leave the water on also. So we leave the water on in the spaces. So water is different from the utilities, the electric utilities. And we flush the toilet and we put bleach in the toilet so that the gas from the dry pee trap at the bottom of the toilet, if you ever walk in a vacancy and it smells like sewer, that is gas emitting from the sewer system because water hasn't been flushed through the system. So if we have a vacancy, we have a bottle of bleach in the bathroom behind the toilet, and we pour a little bit of that in there, flush the toilet, and then that smell gets better. If I have more than a few vacancies, I like to have a quasi leasing office. And I say quasi because it is a card table or like a rectangular table, maybe one chair on one side, two chairs on the other side. It's a folding table. And that's really it. That's the epitome of the quasi-leasing office. Sometimes, like Josie right now has a printer in there. It's got a little file drawer or little table that we got from Office Depot, and there's a printer on top of it. But that's it. And then in the bathroom, obviously toilet paper, paper towels, soap, etc. But that's good. I've had a bunch of meetings in that space. And a lot of times when you set that up and if you're hanging out, sometimes people are walking by, they walk in. I don't have any signage that it's the leasing office. It literally just looks like a vacancy. But people will open the door and say, hey, do you have something to do with this shopping center? And I'll say, yeah. And they come in and we talk. It might be someone looking for space. A lot of times when you set one of these quasi-leasing offices up, the leasing agent leases the space pretty quickly, and now you've got to move and go somewhere else, which is not a bad problem. On my leasing sign, I have a wooden leasing sign. It's usually like a 4x4. I used to do like 2 diagonal so that you could see it coming and going. But if I had a lot of vacancies, I probably would do that, but we don't have that many vacancies. So just a regular 4x4 sign. but on the sign, I have my cell phone and it says text for info. So it has my phone number, which is my cell phone number, and it says, or text for info. So I get a lot of texts because that seems to be the way of the world, and not a bad thing. You know, you want to make it easy for your customer or your client or your future, you know, your prospect. So we just added that literally a couple of years ago. And then if you have space that it has some infrastructure in it that is interesting, you think, to the public, you could put, like, I have had banners hanging on top of second-gen restaurant space and put former restaurant space available. And then in the window, I'll put a sign that says grease trap, no hood, and the square footage. Again, anything you can do to help your prospects get more information. Right now, with the urgent care space, we have a big banner on it that says 3,500 square foot end cap available. And that's on the premises, like where the sign used to be. So to make it stand out, which is just further information besides just the leasing sign at the front of the property. And then the last thing is on my flyers. I recently changed one of my flyers. I had Shops of Arrowhead, and forever the picture on the flyer was of Panera. Well, since then now I have a sushi restaurant that kills it, does over $4 million. I've got Mission Barbecue, I've got La Spada Subs, I've got Playa Bowls. And in my market, all of these tenants are very well known, and a lot of people are familiar with them. So I removed Panera, and because I found myself when I was prospecting talking about these tenants and people going, like I'd show them the flyer and they'd see the picture of Panera and they wouldn't like connect with me. And then when I started talking to them, I'd say, well, I have Fat Boy Sushi and Playa Bowls, and like, oh yeah. So I changed the front of the flyer, and now I have the 4 pictures of those 4 restaurants, and I don't even have Panera, the picture of Panera at all on the flyer anymore. Now on the back of the flyer, I have the site plan and all of the tenants listed. But changing my flyer to showing the more popular restaurants has helped me when I'm canvassing and talking to prospects. So that's a little mishmash of some things there today. I hope that some of those interesting tidbits help you. And if you like the podcast, please share it, like it, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.